What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL Seal video. Today we're going to be going through my ultimate guide for players to watch for game weeks 14 to 16. Now this takes us all the way to the World Cup break where everyone gets a wild card. So if you're considering any of these players or just want to know more about this, then stay tuned. This video is all for you. Now if you do like the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel to help me grow this community. We've just reached 52 subscribers, and as I have said, 100 subscribers, and we're gonna try and do a live stream, maybe even a dog reveal, who knows. Now let's get into the video. So first off, things to think about for game week 14 to 16. The thing is, I've put down a few points. The first one, are you going to play aggressive or are you going to play passive? So what I mean by this is, if you're going to play aggressive, you should start thinking about your transfers right now, and then you shouldn't be afraid to play hits. But if you're going to be passive, you sit on your hands a little bit more and just think about what you're doing. Don't take hits. Try and follow the template team. What are other people doing? Try and do what the community's doing so that you don't fall behind, that you want to maintain your rank for the World Cup. This is the game week. You're going to have to decide if you're playing aggressive or passive, because you can't start playing aggressive for game week 16 or game week 15, because it's just then you're doing 1 week punts. You can have 3 game week punts. So if you take in a Man City player, let's say you're taking Gundogan because you think he's going to hit form, you have 3 game weeks. Versus if you take him in for game week 16 and take a -4 for him, it's less likely for him to return. So do keep that in mind. Point number 2, we only have 3 game weeks until the World Cup break. Do think about that. If you're going to take some hits, 3 game weeks. No more, no less. And so I think you should really assess how you're going to play it. These 3 game weeks, how do they look? That's all you need to think about. You don't have to think about game week 17, game week 18, game week 19. You will have the whole World Cup to think about that. So like 6 weeks. Right now it's only 3 game weeks. Are you going to take the punt on players? Then do it right now. Don't wait. What teams, players are hitting form? So you have to really think about this. What teams are in form? I mean, Arsenal are in tad form, but they have been showing signs of slowing down. So maybe we shouldn't be taking a hit for their players. Maybe we should just be staying away or just keeping what we have. I don't know. We'll consider that later in the video. Man City are always on form. Liverpool like kind of sliding down a little bit, but their fixtures are decent. So these are the things you have to keep an eye on and think about, not just what the fixtures are. The fourth point, and probably the most important one, enjoy the Premier League and FPL while you can, because we're about to hit a 6-week break while the World Cup is going on. Do your best, get the best green arrows you can for the final 3 game weeks. Enjoy watching the football. Don't get obsessed about the game. Just think about it as a positive. And then let's move on. And after Christmas, we're going to be back, right back where we are right now. So these are the best fixtures for game week 14 to 16. Man City sit top of the ticker, while Leicester City are bottom. So if you have a player like Maddison, Vardy, Barnes, you might want to look to move those on, because their fixtures do not look good. They do not look promising for points, while Man City look primed for points. Liverpool are second in the ticker, but I think that is also because they were so good last season that the algorithm kind of calculates that they're going to be really good. These are the teams that are most likely to get you points in FPL, and I don't think Liverpool are that team right now. They're not the same team we're used to, so take it with a pinch of salt. West Ham are third because their fixtures are generally pretty good and they've been playing decent football. I mean, it's been a bit disappointing this season, but they've looked okay. Bournemouth are surprisingly fourth. Do we want to target anything from them? Solanke got injured yesterday. We don't know the extent of that injury, so maybe without him, you don't want to look at anyone. Everton are fifth, and we're going to go into the top 5 later. Spurs are 6th, Crystal Palace are 7th. But what surprised me a little bit, Chelsea are down at the bottom in 19th, Southampton 18th, Leeds 17th, Aston Villa, who just signed Unai Emery as their new manager, 16th. I think it'd be worth keeping an eye on Aston Villa, because I think we're going to see some huge developments there, huge changes. Hopefully some players are going to become FPL options for us. And I think you can use these games, not necessarily investing in Aston Villa right now, but look at how they're playing. How is he setting the team up? We get at least 2 fixtures. He's not going to be there for the He's not going to be there for the next game at Aston Villa, but the final 2 before the World Cup, I think he's going to take charge of. And that's going to be super interesting. Now, other than that, I mean, Arsenal at 12th, so I think that's mainly the Chelsea game that's ruining that for them. Man United are 13th. I think it's a bit harsh on those two teams, but they have had relatively poor seasons prior to this, so I think that kind of confuses the algorithm. Don't take this as the holy truth, but it's right there before you. You can look at it and think about maybe try and take the teams that are up in the table, but like I said in the previous point, you need to think what teams are hitting form. Try and combine that with good fixtures and make the right decision. So here are the best fixtures for the attack. So these are for your attacking assets. So Man City are top of that pile. They have Leicester, Fulham and Brentford. They're all teams that have been letting in some goals, and we can see Man City doing properly good in those games. Liverpool, who have not hit form this season, have Leeds, who I think could be genuinely a nice game for them. High line, Salah could go in between, behind the lines. Darwin Núñez could be decent in that one. Tottenham and Southampton then. Tottenham's going to be tricky, but then again, I don't think Tottenham's been convincing at all this season, so that anyone's game there. Southampton, they're not an easy fixture, so we'll have to wait and see there. West Ham, they have Man United, Crystal Palace and Leicester. So after the Man United game, you can consider the West Ham assets, but Crystal Palace and Leicester, they look prime. They have been conceding some goals. Leicester have been hitting some form offensively, but I still think you could get at them in the defense. I don't think they shored up that defense like 1, 2, 3. We're not going to leak any goals anymore. I think they're going to leak some goals. So Scamacca, Bowen, players like that might be punts there. Bournemouth have Tottenham, Leeds and Everton. Now again, Everton are tight at the back. Tottenham are still Tottenham. And you never know where you have Leeds. So I think Bournemouth are an avoid for me. Everton, like I said, have been picking up a little bit of form. They're very tight at the back. Maybe you should look at them defensively. There is one player from them that I'm actually considering into my own team. Now they have Fulham, Leicester and Bournemouth. I think all of these teams actually could score against them, but they all leak goals. So that's why I'll probably be going for them offensively. But I understand if you want to look at their defense because they've been looking pretty good. So here are the best fixtures for your defense. Now Man City are still top of the pile, and again you can see their fixtures. It's very nice. They have a good defense. Leicester do have a decent record against them though, so maybe you don't want to double up on the back, but having a Cancelo, having an Ederson, I think is a viable option for these games. I think you should have some clean sheets there. Now Crystal Palace are second in this tier. I think Southampton, West Ham, Forest, none of these teams are scoring 3+ goals per game. I mean, they're usually, it's called a big game if they score 2. But again, I think if you want to go for the Palace defense, they have been leaking in the goals. This is where the form kind of comes in. It's not just the fixtures, it's also the form. Like I said, look at who's hitting form. Crystal Palace defense is not on form. So number 3, West Ham. Again, near the top of the pile. They actually do have quite a decent defense. Now they have been keeping some clean sheets. They have players like Aaron Cresswell or players like that who you could go for. Zuma, who scored last night. But I'm probably not going there. I think my transfers are better spent elsewhere. But to each their own. Now Liverpool have a decent defensive fixture run. But again, these teams, I can see any of them scoring against Liverpool the way their defense is playing right now. And that's again hitting form. Liverpool are not in form, so I'm not going there. And again, Arsenal. Now this is where it gets kind of good. I think you could go for an Arsenal defender because I can see 2 pretty sure clean sheets. The Chelsea game, I'm not expecting a clean sheet in that, but Wolves are terrible in attack and I do not expect Forest to score against Arsenal. That could happen. I mean, football is a game of 22 players, 11 on each side, and a referee, you never know what's going to happen in a football match. But prior to the games, I'd be pretty certain that if I want to take a punt on a defender, I'd take a punt on either a Man City defender or an Arsenal defender, as you can see later on. So here are the best goalkeepers by predicted points. Now these are not my rankings, these are rankings from a predicted point algorithm that just predicts that Ederson's going to score you the most points over the next 3 game weeks. Alisson is in second. Again, it just takes in that Liverpool, they were brilliant last season. They have not been brilliant this season, so always take it with a pinch of salt. Aaron Ramsdale is third there. He's expected to keep some clean sheets. Like I said, they could have 2 good clean sheets coming up for them. Pope is 4th and Lloris is 5th. So if you have Pope, might just be worth keeping him in goal. Any of these goalkeepers are pretty good. But if you want to double up Man City, then Ederson is not the worst choice you could possibly think of. So defenders with predicted points. Again, pinch of salt, guys. So Cancelo is number 1 there. I think most of us have him, so we don't have to go into detail with him. He's playing for the best defense in the league, in my opinion, and the team in the best form in the league, and probably the best team in the league. Now, Alexander-Arnold, been very disappointing this season. Personally, I'd like to see more from him before I start investing there, because he costs a lot of money. But player number 3, Diaz, 5.9 million. I think you could go there if you want to, like if you don't want to change your goalkeeper. If you have a defensive problem, if you're still holding James, for instance, it's a simple swap to Diaz, and you have a double up of Man City. Akanji at Man City is number 4 in the predicted points, and Van Dijk is number 5. So Man City and Liverpool is all about them here. Behind them, if I remember correctly, was Aaron Cresswell, who came up relatively good there. But I think you should look at this list, and I think it's basically telling you invest in Man City. Don't invest in the Liverpool defense yet. You can if you want to, but it's at your own risk. Now, midfielders predicted points. We have Kevin De Bruyne at the top. I don't think anybody is surprised by that. He is really good, playing in the best team in the league. But next is Mo Salah, who has not been hitting points. He is still predicted to score some good points, and I do think that Leeds is made for him. I think Tottenham's going to be a bit tricky, and Southampton's going to be a bit tricky for him. But Leeds is the game. If he doesn't score against Leeds, I think you can all start looking at moving him out. But if you have him, I'd keep him for this game week. Now, Son is 3rd. He has not hit form yet either. Looked like he'd hit form when he scored that hat-trick, but he just didn't. So, again, not looking to go there. But you could possibly look at a Salah to Son swap if you want to take the punt, but I don't think it's worth it. Player number 4 is who I'd be going with. Phil Foden. Really, really good performances from him. I think he's 8.4 million now. Getting a bit more expensive, but still worth every penny. He is delivering like a premium asset. So don't overthink it, just go for him. Now, Bernardo Silva, if you want a little bit of a cheaper enabler in your side, if you can't afford a Foden, then I think Bernardo is a very nice pick. But I think Foden is the number 1 pick I'd go with. Bernardo is probably number 2 because of his price. So forwards, predicted points. Haaland, unsurprisingly, on the top of the table. Kane, unsurprisingly, 2nd. 3rd is Calvert-Lewin. Now, that's because of Everton's nice fixtures. Gabriel Jesus, with Arsenal's decent fixtures, is coming in 4th. And Wilson at Newcastle is coming in 5th. Now, the thing is, everyone has Haaland, so we don't have to talk about that. Kane costs a premium buck, but if you can afford it, then yeah, sure, go there. I think he has shown that he delivers you a solid 6 to 10 pointer each game week, and it's not that bad. Calvert-Lewin is a decent punt. He has been getting some game time. He scored in the last game, might be coming back into form, so maybe some confidence, and I think Everton are going to look to play through him a lot more these last 3 games. So maybe 7.9 million. If you have that price point, maybe a Mitrovic up to a Calvert-Lewin might be the play. Gabriel Jesus against Nottingham Forest and Wolves is pretty good, but he is on 4 yellow cards, so keep that in mind. And he has Chelsea in the game week after. And then is Wilson. I mean, Newcastle are really good. I think Wilson's pretty good as well, so maybe worth a punt there. So, Seal's picks. This is where I pick the goalkeepers, the midfielders, the defenders, and the forwards for you, which I would probably go with. So, let's get into it. The premium goalkeeper, Ederson. That's probably who I'd go with there. Predicted to score the highest points, so obviously he is the premium to go for the final 3 game weeks. The mid price is Ramsdale to me, 4.9 million. He'll save you a few bucks on Pope and other players, but I just think Arsenal will get those 2 clean sheets, and against Chelsea he could get some save points, so I think he's a fantastic option for the final 3. Now the budget enabler, I've gone with Gaeta here, but I could also just go with Pickford. I just think surely Gaeta is a good option. I mean, surely he will start keeping some clean sheets. Like, Palace defense doesn't go bad in just a few months. They were pretty good last season, so I think if he can regain that form for the final 3, he might be worth the punt. So the defenders, we have premium Cancelo. Like I said, we don't have to go into it too much. He is a brilliant option, and Man City is a brilliant team, and that is why I've gone with mid-priced is Ruben Diaz at 5.9 million. He's relatively high up there, but I decided to class him as mid-priced. I think that's kind of 5 million, but let's give it to him. Otherwise, I'd probably go Trippier. But Diaz, you know, doubling up on that City defense could secure you some clean sheet points. But in the budget, I've gone for Ben White. Again, I think 2 clean sheets for Arsenal is on the way. Ben White has looked rock solid in that right back. I don't think he's going to get dropped onto the bench, and he's getting subbed in like 60 something, 70 minutes, so he's usually just taking that clean sheet with him, and then maybe Arsenal concedes, so you might be getting like 20 minutes off, you know, 20 stress-free minutes in the Arsenal games. Ben White also assisted Xhaka against Southampton, so he's getting more advanced, he's overlapping more, getting some crosses into the box and looking really good for 4.5 million. Now the midfielders, the premium pick is De Bruyne. Again, they have the best fixtures, best team in the league, and that is why mid-priced Foden is in there as well. I've already gone into it. He is a brilliant option. If you don't have him, go for him. Now the budget option, I've gone for Almiron. I mean, you could go for Xhaka, you could go for Bailey or Andreas Pereira, but I just think Almiron has been hitting form. He's looked really threatening, really good. At 5.4 million, you could do a lot worse. So finally, the forwards. The premium forward is Haaland, unsurprisingly. My mid-priced pick is Calvert-Lewin. Like I said, he has scored a goal. I think he is too much of a key player for Everton to actually be dropped, and they're going to look to play through him, so he's going to get a lot of chances or create a lot of chances for other players, and I think you could do a lot worse than bringing him in for Mitrovic or Tony or someone like that. And finally, the budget forward I picked is Edouard. Crystal Palace have decent fixtures. He's been getting some game time. He's been starting like the last 5 or 6 games for them, and that is what I've been wanting to see from him. 5.4 million. He could be your third striker. You could rotate him in and out with another midfielder. Maybe he's one for the wild card. I don't know. But he is getting the game time we've been calling for, and he is a good striker. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a bit of a long one, but there was a lot to cover. We're covering 3 game weeks in one video, so I hope you made it through it. I hope you stayed with me. If you didn't, then that's okay too. Just thank you for checking out the video. Now, again, I want to remind you guys to consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It'll help me out immensely. I would be very grateful if you could do that. But that's going to be all, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.